watch that. Watch this. This is the heavy, heavy monster sound of madness. One step beyond.
All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It's Wednesday, Wanderlust Wednesday here in the cave. We are back after an absence. We're coming in here out of the cave. We're going to try to throw at least 2 or 3 episodes this week if we can, before I head up to the Adirondack Mountains for the weekend, but we're doing our best here. All right, but I got lists. I still got lists. I got lists everywhere. We're going to revisit some stuff from season 1. We're going to get some new stuff out there, so hang tight. I know you guys have been eagerly waiting, anticipating the next new episode here in the cave. And I am excited. I am excited to talk about this band. We've only talked about them once, I think, in all 4 seasons, and that's back in season 1. And we're talking, of course, about the band Madness, because you read what this was called. The band Madness. I am a huge Madness fan. We're just going to get that out of the way. I'm going to say that right now. I am a huge Madness fan. And I don't know if I know a lot of Madness fans out there. Well, we'll see. We'll see what you have to say. But Madness, of course, I think if you're listening, you already know what song they're famous for, but we're going to get to that. This is a ska band formed in Camden Town, which is London, by the way, and I've been to Camden Town. Formed in 1976 under other names. They didn't settle on Madness until 1979. And they had some lineup changes throughout that time, but then they became Madness. And they are a huge UK band, first and foremost. They are massive. They are like a national treasure over there, with 13 albums and just 16 top 10 singles between the years 80 and 86. So in 6 years, they had at least one single on the charts for just over 4 of those years. 214 weeks with singles in the chart. Just amazing time and amazing band to this day. But in 1979, they started, again, they went with Suggs. In 1977, there was their lead singer. I'm talking about those personnel changes. His name, Graham McPherson, but Suggs, also a treasure. And in 79, they start doing their tours and they start getting followers and things start happening, and they managed to put out their first ever recording, their first single, first record, called The Prince, on Two Tone Records, and released it, and it was a surprise hit. It went to number 16, and they were off and running, touring with the Specials and Selector, and they managed to put out their debut record on Stiff Records later on that year, and One Step Beyond came out. Their name, Madness, by the way, just to back up this bus a little bit, is an homage to their idol, Prince Buster, a reggae singer, and he had a song called Madness, and they spent a lot of time talking about him and just singing a lot of his songs, and that's true on this record here. So One Step Beyond is a B-side. It's a take of a B-side of Prince Buster's. I think it was called Al Capone. But on this record had the Prince, the song Madness, One Step Beyond, and their own song, My Girl, and the album went to number 2 and charted for 76 weeks. They were off and running. The record company wanted them to put out another single off this record. They were like, no, we're tired of singing these songs. So they agreed to put out a song from the record, but also add some others on an EP, and that song was Night Boat to Cairo, which is an amazing song. We're going to get the songs on here. 1980, another record, songs Baggy Trousers, Embarrassment, The Return of Lost Palmo 7. I mean, these were some great songs, and the U.S. just did not get it. Nobody was understanding this music. Rolling Stone, as usual, didn't like it. I should have, if I was reading Rolling Stone then, I should have picked up the record then, because that was always the case. They gave it thumbs down. I probably liked it. 1981, they put out It Must Be Love. Now, that's a slow song, not quite the ska song that we were thinking of, but of course picked up in the United States and went to number 33. That same year, they put out the song House of Fun, which went to number 1 in the UK, their first number 1 single. And in 1982, that's where the rest of us here in America get introduced to Madness, including myself, when they put out Our House, which would go to number 7 and number 5 in the UK. Of course, I had MTV in 1982, and that's when this video was all over the place, and I did love this song. This is a great song. heard it a million times. It's over the years, so that is, it's nostalgic for me. But there are at least 10 other Madness songs that I would prefer to hear before I hear Our House again. That's a fact. If you think that's madness, well, it is. It's madness. Also, of note, just a side note, we talked about this in the Go-Go's episode. The Go-Go's, when they were coming up and around, they were a punk band, if you remember, and they were playing at the Whiskey at the Go-Go. And Madness comes through with the Specials, and they're doing a tour, and they get to this is around 1979 or 1980. They're playing the Whiskey, and they hear about this all-girl punk band, and they're all curious about it. And they said they're kind of raw. They were self-taught musicians, and they actually really liked them, became friends with them, asked them to tour with them when they went back to the UK. So they did, and the Go-Go's spent 6 months in the UK touring with Madness and the Specials separately, I think, and the crowds there didn't necessarily really know what to do with an all-girl punk band, and it was hard work, sets every single night, and they had to put up with a lot. But boy, they sure did learn their music, and they honed their craft and came back. And I think they even toured the United States with Madness. But what a pairing of that when they were a punk band and Madness and the Specials and all that stuff. So that's kind of interesting. And when they got back from that trip, they were signed. Eventually, they were the house band for the Whiskey, and they got signed by none other than Miles Copeland. There he is again, the founder of IRS Records. Remember, we talked about this already, all you conspiracy nuts out there. IRS Records. His brother Ian has Frontier Booking International, FBI. Their father was in the CIA. Miles was in the police. Murder by numbers. It all adds up. Anyway. So, back to Madness. So they just kept releasing records, albums, just huge band in the UK. Never really picked up over here. They put out a record even as recently. So they broke up in 86, reformed in 92. Suggs back with the band. They put out a record in November of 2023, just recently, and it went to number 1 in the UK, their first number 1 album, called Theater of the Absurd Presents C'est la Vie. And so they are just amazing band out there. I went to London in the early 1990s. That's how I became a fan. If you're asking how did that happen, how did you go from Our House to that? Early 1990s, I went to London, couldn't wait to get to the record stores there and dig through them and find stuff. And I walked into one and they were playing Divine Madness, the greatest hits of Madness. You couldn't get these records in the United States. They were all imports. That was only that one album you could get. And I bought the greatest hits, and all these songs were on here that were so great. And then they put out a box set after that when I worked at Music Outlet, and I picked that up, and that's how I became a fan. As far as the records are concerned, we're talking Nightboat to Cairo, My Girl, The Prince, Baggy Trousers, Embarrassment, Return to Los Palmas 7, I said, Driving in My Car, Cardiac Arrest, House of Fun, It Must Be Love. Again, all these songs, these are all great songs. And then there's even a deep cut called Don't Quote Me on That, which I really like a lot. So we're going to post a bunch of songs below. I mean, your song of the day, Mark, what would it be if you had to pick one? It would absolutely be The Prince, their first ever single. The video that was on YouTube forever was so good. And now it's like a different version of that video, and I can't find the original. I'm going to see if I can do it again before I post it. But I just love the whole performance here. I love how happy they are playing. And then the one guy's job is to just dance. His backup singer dancer is just to do this. And I love it. I don't know. There's something nice, and I love Suggs. I love the way he does this thing with his head. He goes, I don't know why. You'll see the video. I don't know why I like it so much, but The Prince is an awesome song. And we're going to post a bunch of them below, like I said. But you're listening to Madness today. Did I cover everything on this episode? I think I did. We're at almost 9 minutes. You're welcome for that in my return here. But dig into some Madness. Dig deep, people. Play it and listen to some ska and see what you think and all that. Whatever you're doing today, I hope it involves music. And as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side. I never get too worried.